Pricing is tricky because art is so subjective and value is ultimately a perception. What someone is willing to pay comes from what they believe the art is worth. The seller can add value to their product through a huge range of methods, which I'll touch on later, in addition to the overall quality of the product they are selling. Regardless of what your price is versus what people are willing to pay, the rule of thumb is if you feel ripped off by a sale of an artwork, you are not charging enough. On the flip side, if you can't believe your luck with a sale, or if absolutely no one is willing to pay your asking price and it has been over 12 months since your last sale, then either you are asking too much or you're not presenting your work in a way that shows people its value. Before I get into pricing, it goes without saying that the first thing someone judges when they consider buying an artwork is the visual quality and connection they feel with the art. There is such a thing as bad art, but bad art can also sell. Detail does not always mean valuable, and simple does not always mean cheap. The variation and differences between art and the value ultimately comes down to individual collectors' taste and what they can justify spending on it. For example, someone looking to pop a pretty picture up on their wall to brighten up the room is not going to consider anything over $500, because likely they will be tossing the artwork out when they change the room around. However, someone who is looking to invest in an artist who is showing potential in becoming a successful, highly influential member of the art world is not going to make a decision based purely on the visual aesthetics of the painting itself. Sure, they have to love the image they are buying, but they will also look into the career of the artist, the value of past pieces sold, the way the artist presents themselves, and the quality of the art itself. They are interested in the long-term growth and the potential of the whole package, not just the painting itself. So as you can see, pricing art is tricky, and you have to know what you want your target market to be, who your work actually appeals to, and be willing to adapt and learn as you go. All the fluff aside, how do you even get started with pricing your work? It takes some experimentation and trial and error, but you will get the feel of it once you start making the sales. I always recommend to artists to have a small body of work, examples that people can see and base their judgments on. If commissions are what you want to get paid for, then having an example of what you are offering will be essential for the people who are considering your services. Basing the asking price on the hours it takes to do the work is one way to start. Another way is to start out low and use the experience of working on commissions at a very affordable rates as a way to get people to talk and get interested in your work. From a more sustainable business perspective, if you choose to base your pricing on the hours it takes to complete them, decide on the hourly rate and add tax and material costs. Consider if you're offering the artwork framed and ready to hang or not. If you are, you will need to factor in the framing, packaging expenses, as well as the shipping and shipping insurance. Remember, once you have set your quote, that's it. It's incredibly unprofessional to change your quote halfway through, so be aware of the hidden costs associated with selling art and make sure you have accounted for as much of it as possible. Over time, your pricing may look like this. And take note here that pricing increase is directly related to the demand increase. It also happens in stages and slowly. In the beginning of my professional artist career, I came up with a formula that provided consistent pricing for the commissions I did. It looked something like this: the size of the artwork in inches squared, plus average shipping, average packaging, average materials, all that multiplied by 33% tax. The size of the artwork took into account the time it took to create it. I knew exactly how long a piece would take based on the past experience I had, which is why it is so important that an artist continues to create art and practice so that they get to know themselves and the results of their time. Quoting will become second nature eventually. In saying all of this, selling high-value original paintings doesn't have to be every artist's goal or business structure. If your thing is creating beautiful art that more people can enjoy, then making sure the time you spend versus the output is profitable. That will be more important to you, rather than increasing value over time. Avenues such as limited edition prints, merchandise, giftware, trademark prints, or fashion, jewelry, novelty items are all great. These could be sold through outlets such as markets, gift shops, retail outlets, and home decor stores. An artist that heads down a more affordable art range can price their work based on the cost of each item rather than the overall time. Expenses such as print price, packaging, framing, taxes, market store costs, and freebies can form the base for which to price the artwork. When I was selling prints, I used the cost of getting the print made and multiplied it by 3. This covered the shipping expenses, store listing, PayPal commissions, travel, and taxes, and gave me a 15 to 20% profit margin. It didn't account for the time it took me to make the original artwork. That had its own value and needed to sell independently to the prints. There are always people that will be offended by your asking price, usually more than those who accept what you charge and are happy to pay it. One way I found really helpful in retaining more clients for commissions was finding out what they wanted done, and then after their reaction to my quote, I would ask what their budget was. If they didn't want to pay my asking price and had a much lower budget in mind for the commission, I would adapt the idea and let them know what I could do for them that would stay within their budget, whether it would be making the artwork smaller, less detailed, or what I call focal detailed, where only the main aspects of the image are in detail, so that it took me less time, or shipped unframed, or in a different medium that was lower in cost for me, such as watercolor or pencil. If they wanted the artwork for free, I would just politely tell them that wasn't possible and thank them for being interested in my work and wish them a lovely day. As I mentioned earlier, it gets easier the more you do it. Finding the right price for your art takes time, but I encourage you to continue creating even while you're waiting for a sale. How you choose to price your work will always depend on your financial situation and whether or not you know which direction and market you want to target. It took me years to figure it out, and I changed my business direction multiple times. So please don't feel like once you start in one direction, it's a pathway that you are forced to stay on. There are no set rules in the art world. Those who dare, who are willing to adapt and learn, and who have the determination to make it through the years of slow to no growth are the ones who could end up doing it full time. If you've found a way of pricing your work that has been really helpful, or have had experience with an artist who had a great or terrible pricing method, please feel free to share your experience so that we can all learn from what you know. I'm only sharing based on my own experience, and believe me when I say there are a significant amount of variables to everything I have learned along the way. But I hope that this has helped someone get some idea about how to start, or how to find a more consistent way of pricing, or what not to do. Either way, I look forward to hearing from you. Whether it would be making from what they believe the art is worth they are selling. Pricing may look like this. Selling high value joy, then making sure the time